I've got 8 questions here, and depending on what you roll, those are the questions where we start.
Great.
What is the best rap gift you've ever received or given?
The best rap gift I received was a bicycle on Scrubs that is really cute. It says Scrubs and I still use it, and I'll still use it on the lot. That's one of my favorite rap gifts. And the best rap gift I've given was this year. Well, I had a competition with Jessica Williams because she was like, I'm trying to think of rap gift. I'm like, I think I'm gonna try to beat you. And she's like, oh, you are so annoying. And so I found my favorite sweatshirt brand, and then I put we had a saying, we got a private joke that we did through our whole run, and it's too long to explain, but I put that on the back with the shrinking logo, and everyone loved it.
There's just something about how you said, I don't know who said this, but like, she's so annoying, that immediately made me think like that's something your characters would say to each other.
And I would be like, oh, the whole time, like, oh, my rap gift. I feel like and she was like, what? Don't bring that to me. What are you doing? And I go, I have things, and then I would always say to her, I have something serious to ask you. And she'd be like, oh, don't give me that shit. You're gonna start with that shit with the rap gift.
I love it. I'm surprised it's not rocks. You have made me want to rock so badly, and I never knew I would want that, but I do now.
I know. People, well, now, unfortunately, though, all my friends are like, well, I don't have a rock. I'm like, well, not a lot of people have rocks, but like, you can't ask for one.
No, you can.
No,
it has
to
to be a thing that you naturally earn. Next roll up. So you got one more. Oh, it's stuck in the little door there.
All right.
What is something in your kitchen, a food item that is only yours, that you love so much that nobody else is allowed to have any of it?
Oh, well, I'll tell you right now, because it says Mom's in it. It's in the freezer right now, and I wrote it in a Sharpie last night. No one in the house likes Haagen-Dazs vanilla chip. Only I do, and I have a little bit. But if there's no ice cream, the boys will eat it anyway. So that's mine. You're not allowed to touch it. It's Mom's.
All right, you got one more roll in the tower.
I like the tower.
You are on the set of Shrinking.
Right.
There is a zombie outbreak.
Yeah.
You can pick 2 co-stars to team up with. Who do you pick that gives yourself the best chance of surviving the outbreak?
Definitely Harrison. Definitely Jessica. The 3 of us would kick ass. No, for sure. Harrison. I have Harrison Ford there.
Okay.
And Jessica is like 6 feet tall. We're gonna get it.
I believe this.
Yeah.
I need to have a better understanding of the skills that you are bringing to the group.
Oh, the skills that I'm...
What is your greatest asset? But then I also want your greatest weakness. What's the thing that'll do you and them in because they're teamed up with you?
Here's my greatest asset is I'm quite a good athlete. So I feel like I could throw. I also am a really good shot.
You play basketball, don't you?
Basketball.
I noticed in that one, you take one shot in the whole season. I'm like, you know what you're doing.
Thank you. Yes, I play basketball. I play volleyball. I don't know if volleyball is going to help with zombies, but I play tennis. I feel like I have a good arm, could throw something. I've also used to skeet shoot. I'm a good shot, right? So I'm not the fastest runner. So that's going to be a problem. And Harrison seems to be a fast runner, and I might hold them back.
I do have to say, I feel like you've brought more skills to the table than any past Ladies Night guest. I'm very impressed by this.
Thank you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a brand new edition of Collider Ladies Night with, I did it, Christa Miller. It switched to the wide. Just so everyone knows out there, today's my first time live switching. It will all be fine. I appreciate you being my guinea pig today.
All right, good. I want to see how you do.
So do you remember, I don't know, the first set you were on, the first acting class you took, whatever it may be, where you tapped into something that convinced you that, like, yes, I am in the right industry, the right line of work, and I should see this through?
You know, it's funny because it was always a dream. And in school, I did sports, and I did 4 varsity sports in my, so I just went, you know, those days you don't have to pick one sport, so I would just go through and do them. And I never did plays, but I always wanted to be an actor. And then I started going, in 10th grade, I started going to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts at night after like a game, and I would go study there. And then the second I started there, I fell in love with it and wanted to do it. But I like was kind of private about it. You know, my father went to Yale, my mom went to Middlebury. They weren't so much with the acting. So I just kept it kind of private.
Okay. So when or what specifically inspired the passion for acting to not be a private thing anymore?
Well, part of it was my biological father, who I didn't meet till I was 16, but his sister is Susan St. James. She was on McMillan and Wife and Kate and Allie, and hosted Saturday Night Live. And I knew she was an actress, so I hadn't met him or met her, but I knew she was an actress. And, I grew up in the city. I wasn't, around in show business. And I thought, well, there's someone in my family that's actually doing this. So it felt like it could be something I could do. It didn't feel so far away.
Of all of the earliest professional sets you were on, which would you credit with giving you, I guess, the best understanding of what would wind up being most important to you in terms of the stories you would go on to tell and also the types of on-set environments you would want to work in?
You know what? I would think in terms of early jobs, I always was very dramatic and the Sturm und Drang of it all, and thought I was going to be this very dramatic actress. But I was always kind of someone that was making my friends laugh all the time. And I got a part on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that was supposed to be one little scene. And then they kept adding me to scenes. And it was so much fun doing the show. I mean, there was music playing and they were doing speed throughs before everything and everyone was really nice. And then they kept it was the most fun. And I thought, what am I doing? This is the most fun. And also I think I can do this. I think I could do comedy. And then once I got that, I kind of changed, just changed in my head what I was focusing on with auditions.
I like asking this every once in a while because I know that, especially when you're first starting a career in this industry, saying no can be a difficult thing, but you also want to make sure that you're showing the powers that be, the path you want to go on and the types of shows and movies you want to make. So do you remember the very first time you had to say no to something because it didn't align with how you wanted the industry to view you, or because it didn't feel like the right fit to you, even though somebody might have wanted you for the role?
You know what? I think after I got Drew is when I would say, no, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And then after I had my first child, I think, you're really battling, my husband also works, so it wasn't a matter of having to make a living, and that's tricky. I think it's just tricky because you just, and also a lot of things that you think, not a lot, but there's some things that I didn't want to do and then turned out to be okay and should have done. But, that's life. And I've spent a lot of time with my children.
I do want to follow up on that. When you say things you don't want to do and then found out were okay, do you mean specific things within a role or something like that?
There's been, I can't be specific, but I'm sure there are a few jobs and movies that I was like, I don't get it, I don't like it, or I can't do it, and then that would be scary for me or something, and then it turns out that I could have, and the person who did, I could have been scared and done it.
Okay, so I'll follow up on that and ask whether it's shrinking or anything you've done recently. Is there something that you accomplish in a movie or a show that you, when you were first starting out in this business, would have said, I can't imagine me ever doing that one day, but now I pulled it off?
I think, here's how I'm going to answer this. So one time when we were doing Scrubs, Bill said, when they're doing the other person's coverage, you're doing all this crazy shit, but I want to see it when you're on camera and be embarrassed and, because, a lot of times you're trying something and it's crickets and you're like, oh. And then when I did Shrinking, Jason is all about, he likes being embarrassed. He's like, unless I'm embarrassed 10 times during the day. And then, because then he likes if there's crickets because he put it out there. And I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that all the time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And it's so good for me at the end of the day to go, yeah, I failed 5 different times today, but I put it out there. And because I failed, I was able to do something else or feel vulnerable after for a scene, it works.
That's such an important quality to have in a scene partner. It makes me so happy. It's probably something that I would imagine kind of nudges everyone forward and makes everyone feel fearless on a set.
Yeah, because Jason's like, oh, I like to follow my face. He said, why do you think in Sarah Marshall I'm naked for 7 minutes of the movie? I'm like, well, first of all, because you have a big penis, so I don't think it's that problematic. But he said, because I wanted to really that's to me is as vulnerable as I can be. And I just thought, oh my God, I just don't do enough of that. And so shrinking, I also, it's just I have from the crew I've worked with a long time. RAD, Ben Weiss has been with us a long time and a good friend of mine. And I just felt like let's do it. Life is short.
Can you give me an example of a time when you took a really big swing with something, thought to yourself, they're never going to use that, and now it's in the final cut of the show?
Yes. And I'm trying to think of something specific. I know that one time I was doing a reaction and everyone was laughing and I was going to do it. And then I did that the third time and Zach's like, well, that's too big. And then we were laughing. But yeah, they'll put, because how we work on shrinking is because the scripts are so good and so tight. Everyone sticks to the script and we get, 2 passes each. And then Bill will say, have fun. He just doesn't have an ego about that. And Ted McGinley will come and he's a comedy assassin. He's always just throwing off lines. I kind of remember other people's lines, throwing off things more than mine.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on that now. Of every character that you read in the script before you even met your co-stars and started filming, which character changed the most from script to screen because of the creative input that particular actor brought to the project?
I would say Harrison. There's 2. It's Harrison Ford and also Ted McGinley, because Ted McGinley was recurring. And then everyone was like, also because he's a lovely person. Bill's wanted to work with him for such a long time. He kind of snuck him in by having him be recurring next year. Next season, he's a regular.
As it should be.
As it should be. And came in and was like, he wasn't thirsty. He just came in and delivered and was hysterical. And he got more and more comfortable. And it became more and more his character is kind of my husband in real life.
Leaning into the cast a little more, I love asking things like this to highlight the different acting processes there are out there. Of everyone in the shrinking ensemble, which 2 actors have the most different approaches to the work, where when you're their scene partner, you'll have a completely different acting experience?
I would say, I don't know if it's acting experience, and I don't know what Jessica's preparation is, but the 2 of us have a very different energy and how we do comedy. So we love working together. I mean, I can't speak for her. I love working with Jessica. We love each other, but it's because we just have different styles. So we'll just, my style she reacts to, and if she goes off, I'll react to her, but it's just a different way of working. So that I always find exciting because I don't know what she's going to do, or it's not the same style. I think part of the reason with shrinking is that no one has the same style. Working with, when they'll say oh, you're working with your storylines with Lukita or Luke, everyone has a different style and it makes it really fun. Because other shows sometimes, which I'll still enjoy, but everyone's as smart as everyone else. Everyone has the everyone's different in this show. And Harrison changes things ever so slightly when you're doing a scene with him. There's just little tiny changes. So you're really hooked in. And I find my heart starts beating, but I also feel like I'll finish a scene with Harrison and I don't know what even happened. I won't even remember.
This is very specific. I don't know if you'll remember a moment like this, but can you give me an example of a time when one of those different acting approaches helped you access something in Liz that you wouldn't have been able to unless a co-star pushed you into it?
Yeah, I think I was doing a scene with Jessica right at the beginning, and we were working and talking, and it was when we hadn't even bonded that much because our characters didn't like each other so much. And she said so because I didn't know her that we were going to be friends, or we purposely had kind of been, nice, and she said something and it really hurt my feelings. It was in the driveway about when she said she was being a mom, and it really hurt my feelings. She said it in the scene, not to me personally.
Yeah.
and it was great. You know, it was such a help to me.
There's that line that hurt my heart for Liz. There's the conversations on the balcony. There are so many times in the show where people around her are criticizing Liz. So I wonder, do you have to figure out for yourself where she draws the line in terms of letting that stuff bounce off of her and staying true to herself and who she is versus taking it to heart and it inspiring even a subtle amount of change in the character?
Well, I really like what I'd always thought about Liz is I didn't want her to be this nosy, annoying neighbor that's typical being annoying, because I think she's a great mom. I think she helped out when no one was helping out this kid, you know, like, and I think she's accountable, which is a difference with someone like, because I just think she's accountable. So the tricky thing with accountable is, you know how some people are like, sorry. I think she's accountable and changes her behavior. So I think it's always a give and take of, am I take this to heart? Yes. And am I going to be accountable? I think though she'll get her, like at the end, she's mad at Harrison. She's going to go in and rip him a new one. I mean, that was the most fun scene to do.
I bet that's part of the reason why I love the show overall in the ensemble so much, is because every single time someone does something, not even necessarily wrong, but something that's putting themselves above others, they'll talk about it and actually act on it, but not in a way that feels heavy-handed and inauthentic.
Yeah, I think it's different in the show too. It's not really, for me, it's not about, because even Scrubs and Cougar Town was kind of broad comedy, which is so much fun. We have on both shows the most fun, screaming, laughing all day. And this show is more about the comedy comes from the good job with the live camera.
I haven't cut to my
like
single
looking-
once because I'm scared.
I like you not really looking, like just playing the piano over there. Maybe we should do your single now. Look,
I am in such a sweat right now.
I wish I had a thing to do.
Christian, I'm never doing this again.
I mean, why? Why would you bother? But anyway.
My hand is legit sweating, and I'm going to get carpal tunnel.
And also,
from
you're
this.
holding it in a very uncomfortable way.
Awful.
Can you put
It's
a pad
awful.
underneath that?
Can I place that order for next time?
Wait, what was it?
We were talking about how
So the
characters
comedy
listen-
comes more from the character, so it's different. Has the comedy? I remember when we did that scene with Harrison. I was so revved up. And if I'm doing a scene with Harrison, he gets his coverage first. There's like a little hierarchy in the call sheet, right? So he gets his coverage first, and I would get mine third. Jason, Harrison, then I would get mine. So I walk in, I'm like so mad at Harrison, and I go, Harrison, I got to do my coverage first. Are you okay with it? And he's like, whoa, look at you. Oh, fine, do. And then he's like, bring it. And I was like, oh, now what if I suck? I don't care. I'm fine. I'm great. We're going. And it was fun.
What scene was that?
The one where in his office after I'm defend Jessica that he's being a pussy.
I like that scene a lot. Is that a typical thing on a show shot this way? Like a call sheet hierarchy in terms of when your coverage is captured?
Yeah, like it is. So if I'm doing a scene with Jason, he's going to be, they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the call sheet. But sometimes like Jason will say, I've got all this material. I want to, can you do your coverage and I'm just going to, get used to it. Depends, if you have a lot. But he has the choice because sometimes, I like going first because I feel fresher and, comedy, so you're not doing it over and over. But it changes. It's up for debate, but the set is.
Oh, that's so interesting. I'm surprised I've never heard about that before. But now I'm going to start thinking about it. Jessica did that to me last time. I get things on Ladies' Night where they plant them in my brain and then I bring them up on every single interview. I'll give you one fun question before I close out here. Something that she brought up during our Ladies' Night. We were playing a little Would You Rather game. So I'm going to ask you my one silly Would You Rather question because it also pertains to a particular episode that I love in this show. Would you rather have to fake sneeze or fake vomit in a scene?
Fake sneeze.
Can you do a convincing fake sneeze? I'll take that.
Will you?
Yes, I approve. That gets a thumbs up from me. Jessica followed up, and we were talking about seemingly silly everyday things that are difficult to convey in a truthful manner on camera. And she's like, you know how hard it is to act cold? I'm like, I never thought about that, but now I ask that in my Would You Rather game all the time.
Acting cold is hard, but I'm always cold, so maybe not as hard. I'm always freezing. You know, it's hard for me to, is extreme joy. Because it doesn't happen in your life that you're like, when we never found out the gender of our children. So it was always like this, oh my God, like we're having a boy. So like extreme excitement, joy, I find hard. Not if other people are doing it, but if you're just doing it on your own.
Oh, that is so interesting. I'm going to add that to my list now. All right.
It could be rather cold or super excited and joyful. If everyone goes cold, then I'm an asshole.
But if you have to be super joyful in a cold room?
Oh no, that would scramble your brain.
I would say usually I'm always cold, but right now I'm really hot and sweaty because
your
this is happening.
hand is uncomfortably on the.
It is. This is awful. All right, I need to stop doing this and say thank you for your time today. And seriously, huge congratulations on Shrinking. I was saying to everybody, I was a little late to finally watching it for the first time, and I'm so glad I caught up and did the binge because it is just so incredibly refreshing to have a laugh out loud worthy show that also has deep meaning and value that you can carry with you after you've had your laughs while watching it. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I hope you have me back and we can gossip some more.
I would love to. Now I'm going to turn this way and say goodbye, everyone. Thank you.